Hi everyone, this is Ant. I have put together a few thoughts which I think are hopefully useful as you begin to get your teeth into the batch 2 material. I suggest that after watching this PowerPoint that you watch the second PowerPoint that I prepared, which gives you an overview of sessions 1 to 6 and helps orient you to where we have been. Now, I know that you are between a rock and a hard place. It is a very challenging time, and my conversations with many of you on Zoom and on email have made that particularly salient. I have become much more aware of those constraints and of the very difficult circumstances that many of you are facing. I want to congratulate you on completing the activities for batch 1 and say that I hope batch 2 will be less painful for those of you who found batch 1 painful, even as it continues to be a substantive amount of work. We're working, all of us at Gibbs, the program management team, the faculty, to be flexible, to respond where possible. I really want to, and I think we all do, smooth the road for you and make it as smooth as possible, understanding that it is not a smooth journey. It is a very tough journey. We're aware that there's lots of work in this course, lots of activities. We are bound by the Council for Higher Education and the University of Pretoria in terms of the requirements for what are called notional hours, which are the hours that students spend in active engagement with the material. And so all of the activities that we have prescribed are essentially what we would have done in class and are to and can be seen as contributing to your broad journey in the same way that class time would have. I know it can be frustrating as you want to work, many of you, on the assignment, but there are these regulations and commitments which we are bound by. We also believe, many of us at Gibbs, and I certainly do, that learning is participative and that it is social. And so while I can appreciate the hope to have some individual efficiency and pure flexibility to this, it is core to our being and our identity as a school to try and encourage the wrestling with theory and the application of theory in collaboration with your colleagues. That said, let me share a few thoughts on batch 2. Firstly, a reminder. All activities are for learning and practicing. They are intended to be participative and social in line with how learning happens. Maybe even some of them could be fun. I invite you to that possibility. I know some of you might find it a challenging idea. But activities, and I said this on the Zoom call, are different to assignments. Activities should be embraced for the learning purpose. Assignments are for perfecting. Let me share a little bit more about what we've taken into consideration as you undertake batch 2. So these are some of the small changes we've made, but hopefully they are material in making the journey a little bit smoother. Firstly, we've reduced the number of syndicate activities. In batch 2, there are only 2 activities where you have to collaborate directly with your syndicate. That is for sessions 9 and session 11. We understand syndicate activities take a lot of coordination of diaries, and so I've taken that into account. We have tried, where possible, to move deadlines to the weekend. Unfortunately, this is not always possible because we also want to get through the material in a way that leaves you with the maximum amount of time to spend on the individual and syndicate assignments. And so our first deadline in batch 2 is Friday, but we will, for some groups, have for all of you, have an evening deadline for session 11, and for red and yellow group, have a weeknight deadline in order to allow us to complete the material on time. This is for activities, of course. We've also added a duration guideline, so an estimate of how much time an activity should take, and this will help give you some guideline around how much time we expect you to spend on it and give you a sense of what's needed. We've made the instructions clearer, and if anything is not clear, please will you email me straight away and I will clarify it for you so that no time is wasted. We've also chosen not to use any different online tools to what you've been exposed to. So you will have very similar tools or identical tools to what you've experienced: voice over PowerPoint, YouTube videos, the Harvard Business School platform, as well as discussion boards and a journal. And then finally, we know that it is quite anxiety causing for many of you to have to study on your own and to not have the kind of interaction with faculty you're used to. So we will be running Zoom Q&A sessions at the end of the material once it's complete to help you answer any final questions before you submit your assignments. We understand these are small changes, but we hope that they will make the journey a little bit smoother for you. This is the map or the outline of the entire course. In the other video, introductory video, I describe my perspective on what sessions 1 to 6 are about at a high level. Now I take you more into what is ahead. First up is the topic of measurement. It would be nice if you could measure whether your strategy is being implemented well before the financial results or the sales numbers come up. And so in this session, we look beyond financial measures into non-financial measures and into what are called lead measures as opposed to lag measures. So if we think about a logic, if we achieve X, then Y will be the result. And we look to measure X. In this session, we expose you to the balanced scorecard and a simulation on that balanced scorecard as an example of one of the ways of conceptualizing measurement, non-financial measurement. That session will be taken by Elton Dawkin. In session 8, you will look at the challenges of changing direction. What if your strategy fails? Or what if there is a crisis and you have to adjust and adapt substantively? This session will be with Morris Mtembeni, and it will expose you to the most extraordinary story in the Taj Hotel, which I hope will be inspiring for many of you by watching that multimedia case. Then in sessions 9 and 10, you will switch across to the leadership course. You will find all of this material in the leadership section of Aspire, not in the strategy implementation section. Although it is one broad body of work, these two sessions are strictly speaking leadership sessions. They will also not be examined in the strategy implementation assignment. So the strategy implementation assignment will be based on sessions 1 to 8, as well as part of session 11. You will first look in the leadership course at how do you adapt leadership approaches depending on the strategy context, and especially at how do you build an organization that can both change and be efficient at the same time, by looking at some of the adaptive leadership dimensions and complexity leadership with Dr. Karen Skeppers. You will then look inward. You know, making big decisions and living with the consequences is difficult. Strategy implementation is therefore difficult, and it is taxing on all of us and taxing on your body and your mind. In session 10, you will explore much more intimately that issue and begin to embrace the reality that these things are difficult. And so how do you stay resilient in times of challenge? How do you find meaning? That session will be run by Dr. Dorothy Ntletyana. Then in session 11, you'll come back to strategy implementation. and we will look at how everything works together. I will also briefly highlight some additional thoughts on how to bridge the gap between words of strategy, plans of strategy, and the action of strategy. That material will shortly be available. Once again, this is your faculty team. Elton Dawkin in the bottom left, an ex-MBA student and head of health for Anglo American, and somebody who's thought deeply about measurement, especially during the COVID crisis, will take you for session 7. Dr. Mtombeni in the top left will take you for session 8, and he will connect your experience in session 1 around the relationship with between formulation and implementation, to the questions of failure, to the questions of turnaround, and to the questions of crisis. In session 9, Dr. Karen Skeepers, who took you for sessions 2 and 3, will look at adaptive leadership and about how do you change your leadership style. Dr. Dorothy Ntletiana will take you for session 10 on resilience. And Dr. Maxine Jaffet will be in touch with me, and we'll be working behind the scenes to help build the session 11 material. That's the team who'll take you forward. So in closing, I want to share that I hope that this will be a smoother journey, as we've all learnt many things over the batch 1. It remains a lot of work, but I hope that the small changes we've made will actually be material and substantive in enabling you to learn more efficiently, grasp the material, collaborate with one another, and enrich your understanding of the strategy implementation journey. One last thing, if you don't understand anything, or if you have any questions, please email me and I'll be happy to answer them as quick as possible. Thanks guys, and good luck with batch 2.